Welcome to Wonderled. Welcome to this little corner of the internet. I'm so delighted you found us. Do come and sit by the fire. Yeah, warm your hands. It's been a lot recently. So you might like to just take a moment just to look into the flames, to breathe, to bring your shoulders down. Yeah. It's okay. This moment is for you. And you can stay as long as you want if you want to come back to this video. In a moment I will tell you a story. But as I always say, just settle in first. Imagine you're putting down your heavy baggage, perhaps boxes or bags. And for a moment they can just go on the floor. We can keep them safe. There's no need to watch them at the moment. And so as we all gather around the fire, and because it's early Christmas, it's the holidays, I'd like to tell you a story. So I invite you to look into the flames to make sure your inner child is nearby. And if they are shy, it's okay. It was Christmas Eve, a cold and wintry night. The snow was falling down onto the cobbled stones. There was a hush, a stillness. Perhaps there had been a bustle previously, like other years. Or perhaps not. And it seemed strange to the cat, who was plodding through over the cobblestones of the streets. There was no one about. The cat came to a door, and out of a side passage came the dog. "Good evening, dog," said Cat. "Good evening, Cat," said Dog. They hadn't always been friends. But Dog noticed the hush as well, and so Cat and Dog went up to the window. Looking in, they could see the glow of the fire, of the holiday lights, and the smell of baking. Christmas Eve, said Dog. This is why no one is out there. But I have not seen the old lady, who often will feed me and you. Let's go and check she's okay. They went along the cobblestones until they came to the house of the old lady. It was the smallest house on the street, for the old lady did not have many pennies. And normally, when Dog looked in, he would see the glow of the fire, the lights, perhaps a candle, and always the smell of cooking and baking. But this evening it was different. It seemed dark, cold. It seemed as if there was not a soul in sight. The old lady cannot be lonely for Christmas, thought Dog. For this year it felt as if things were strange. The humans moved in different ways. There were times of bustle and times of so much quietness. And where was the old lady's friends? Cat had an idea. Come, I know the fishmonger. I'm sure we can get the old lady some fish for supper. Cat was cunning. Cat curled in through the fishmongers and picked a fish, and in a moment was out of the door. The fishmonger won't mind, said Cat. Dog thought for a moment. He knew the butchers. There was some plump sausages and perhaps some turkey. Dog woofed at the door of the butcher's. The butcher came out, and when Dog explained, as only happens in fairy tales, the butcher said, of course, the old lady has supported us for so long, and gave the dog the sausages and some bacon and even the plump turkey. Now, the sight of Dog and Cat wandering down the road, carrying now the fish and the turkey and the sausages in the bags within their mouths, was quite a sight to see. And so, out of the great house, above the gate, was Peacock. Now Peacock, as we know, is perhaps the most beautiful bird, with the beautiful plumage of the male bird and the eyes. But the sight of Cat and Dog with the food was perhaps a greater sight than perhaps Peacock. And so Peacock followed Cat and Dog. They turned the corner, and there was Mouse. Now Mouse was perhaps even less of a friend with Cat and Dog. But when Mouse heard of the plight of the old lady, Mouse said, I know where I can find some peat and some coal for the fire. Perhaps we can make it warm after all. And so quick as a flash, Mouse, who was able to go and pick up the coal from the coal scuttle and the peat and carried it along the road. It was now quite a sight to see, but as you know, when it's Christmas Eve, we often miss a lot of things. And so, if the humans had peered out, they would have seen Cat carrying a pile of fish, Dog with the sausages and a turkey as big as him, Peacock walking along the road in a royal fashion with the eyes peering out, and the tiny little mouse skittering and scattering and skittering and scattering, and somehow, because on Christmas Eve the day is magic, carrying coal and peat for the fire. Eventually, the little rabble, or crowd, arrived at the door of the old lady. It was still, quiet, cold. Perhaps the lady was not there. But what would have happened? Dog barked, Cat meowed, Peacock did a little display along the door, and Mouse squeaked. And they all knocked on the door with their various claws and paws and beaks as best they could. Well, this sound would have woken anyone, and so down the stairs they heard the footsteps of the old lady. She opened the door, and seeing all the animals in front of her, smiled, and then said, "But I have nothing to give you, my friends." Well, they didn't mind. In through the door, Dog ran, then Cat, then Mouse, then Peacock, and deposited all the food on the ground. Before long, the old lady was cooking the fish and had put the sausages and the turkey in the oven. The little mouse was sitting by the fire and somehow had managed to spike the flames with the peat and the coal. As they all sat down to eat, the Peacock looked. What could he bring to the feast? He stood in front of the fire and he looked, for there was no Christmas tree or decorations in the old lady's house. But as he brought his feathers out, the eyes on each feather shined in the glow of the firelight, and it shone like 100 candles, and it was like the most magnificent Christmas decoration you have ever seen. The old lady looked round at the surprising friends, and together they feasted in the glow of the Christmas lights. Thank you so much for joining me for this story today. Wishing you wonder-led adventures and journeys and a beautiful Christmas.